Good afternoon. How are you? Well, the temperature is scorching 40-something degrees. The humidity is about the same, 43, I think, and the wind is at 10 miles an hour. So I think today is a different kind of day. There are all these expressions out there that purport to represent what this season is about. 'Tis the season to be jolly, those kinds of things. And I'm not opposed to people being jolly, but it's hard to identify with the themes that we see broadcast the most. Old movies, old songs, and so forth. And they tug at you. But I don't know, they're not about joy. They're about history, remembrance. And if there's ever a time where we need to be present, it's now. But this is a good time to be passive. If jolly is impassive, then maybe that's not the right approach. I think it's a time of getting together with family. Mine is thinned out over the years. I'm the last of the Mohegans. My mom, dad, and brother have all passed. My brother was 3 years younger than myself. And I have memories of those times together. So it's a season in which you go back to those who are not with you now, whom you miss and wish they were with you, knowing that it is what it has to be. The times we were together during the seasons were quite pleasant. And then there are I have a couple of cousins, but we won't be together. So what's going to happen today is I'm going to get together with my daughter and Holly, and I think today we're going to have a Chinese meal at a restaurant we like. And tomorrow we're going to have a vegan Christmas. And for those of you who feel sympathetic to us because we're having vegetarian food, if you think about it, the normal Thanksgiving dinner with the turkey and so forth, if you remove the turkey, the rest is not meat. So the sacrifice is not great. And these vegan, non-meat, plant-based turkeys are quite good. So I encourage you to try it even if you continue to be an active carnivore. I don't think much about religion on Christmas Eve day. In fact, I remember taking my daughter to Roman Catholic services thinking that the good feeling, at the least, if she never embraced a religion, would be helpful to form who she was. But one Christmas Eve we went, and the priest had all the children gathered in the front of the church, and he explained that the candy cane, which was wrapped in white and red, the red represented the blood of Christ. I thought, he doesn't even have his liturgy straight. And over time, the diocesan priests came in, and they were more busy hating and selecting groups. And I didn't think there was any advantage for my daughter in going to that, which she was a young age. And once I asked her, what do you think about the services? She says, well, you stand up, you sit down, you kneel. That was it. That's all she got out of it. So when they eliminated the Franciscans, and I had a special relationship with the Father John from Ravenna, who had been a rough boy on the streets, was invited by a priest to get an education if he agreed to be a priest at a young age, and he piled into a truck, and that's how he got his vocation. He and I had a special relationship. So I think Christmas, the season, is a time for special relationships. Those who are with us today, enjoying their company, talking about things that matter, not the stuff that passes time. And I think I've always been of that school. And my one regret is that my dad didn't live longer so that I could have gathered more wisdom and we could have had deeper conversations. But I cherish the times I had to speak with him. And so if by example what I'm saying makes any sense to you, enjoy the people you're with. On New Year's Eve, we're getting together with some people who are strongly political, but just great people. And I managed a political campaign for our host years ago. And that's a tie that binds from 1983 to now. So you never know what relationship is going to bring you together. If you're younger, it may be a friend who becomes a spouse. If it's a family member, and you can get past politics, you can have a conversation you may cherish years from now. The rough thing about the season is that people who are older or infirm try to last to get to a Christmas and Easter or whatever. And so we lose people in this time, at least in the Flannery clan, that's what happened. My dad, who was not religious, I came to him once because the nuns told me that my dad was going to go to hell if he didn't go to Mass. Well, he went to Mass to fill in the little yellow envelope so that we could get into the parochial school that was nearby. And once that was done, he was done with it. So one dinner, while I was in grammar school, I said to my dad, they say you're going to go to hell if you don't go to Mass. And he said, well, that's interesting. He said, he thought for a second, he said, we all worship in our own way. And he gave me the freedom to question and use my mind. And my life's been richer for discarding those things that are not real. That, for me, do not mean peace, do not mean joy. And I'm fine with the beliefs that people have, for whatever reason, however fantastic, however genuine. And I think that's the way we should be. Turning to my legal side, that's what I believe the First Amendment is about. And any other country that has that freedom has one of the marks necessary to a republic and to a democracy. My best Christmas Eve story is I was taken by this marvelous, talented woman, Doris Jamin. Her name is now Doris Jamin Bartlett. And we went out on a date out in Throgs Neck. By that time, our family lived in a much better neighborhood, or so people told us. And St. Francis de Chantal was the local church, Roman Catholic church. And she came from a Roman Catholic family, and I guess at least appearances and experience that was ours. And we went to a wedding reception, and I think this was the first time we went to anything together. And she sat me down in a corner and she said, I have to go do something and I'll be right with you. And I didn't make anything of it. And a few minutes later, this angelic voice filled the entire room. And so it was her. She had the voice of a great performer. She really did, a natural. So I joined the choir. And on Christmas Eve, I was up in the choir singing, my changing voice concealed by a much better singer, including Doris. And we kept waiting for the Mass to begin. And it was the midnight Mass, so nobody had to get up the next day and go to church. And you could smell the beer and whiskey wafting up to where the choir was. and the aisles were filled, and all the pews were filled, and it was like a jazz show, I guess, or a concert. We were all waiting for it to begin. And then the priest, and time has made it impossible for me to remember his name, he came out with two young altar boys. He stood in the middle of the church and he raised his hands up and he said, "Dearly beloved in Christ." And then he fell flat on his face. I think having tipped a little bit too bit in the sacristy. And so it was one of the more hysterical things. And later this evening, I think we're all old enough to deal with this, I was in the back of her dad's car, which was unlocked at her place, and we were kissing, and all the windows were smoked up, and he opened the door, and then he was relieved because he was afraid we'd be doing something else. And we had a fairly innocent relationship. That's about all that we did do. We talked a lot, and not too many years after that, she was on Broadway. And because of her, I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And so, Christmas, between memories of family and this young, inspired actress, and all the things since and now that I have. If I have any thanks to mention, it is that Holly went through this amazing operation so that she could breathe and live. Although we thought several times she would die. This is now several years ago. And the side effects of the medicine she takes is a challenge, but she's with us. And I play nurse, keep track of the medicine, sounding board, and we both research the things to keep our life serious. And my daughter, who had learning differences, who will be with us today, she's a terrific young lady. She's got a lot of spirit and loves animals and people, and she has an empathy that is quite visible. When she was a kid playing on a field, she was running next to another girl, I guess it was soccer, and the girl hurt herself, and Diana imitated her, mimicked her. That's pure empathy. So if there's anything about this season that I think makes sense, it is the small things. A conversation that you've never had with a person you care about, a surprise to someone who doesn't expect it, a little bit of peace that's not forced, that's natural. That's what I think the season is for those of us who've seen enough of these economic splendors to know that what matters is the moments that you have with the people that you care about. So that's all I have today. I'm not going to muck this up with the serious news that floats around about us all the time. And we'll resume regularly scheduled concerns about our democracy and republic. But for now, I say to you, from our cathedral of trees, have a wonderful Christmas Eve, Hanukkah, or any other season that you're celebrating or not celebrating. Enjoy yourself. All the best. Bye-bye.